Bombshell. The Canadian Open has completely shattered expectations as massive crowds flood Toronto's Sobeys Stadium and ticket demand reaches unprecedented levels. Nobody expected the tournament to explode like this. A 21-year-old from the Philippines, Alex Eala, has helped transform a major tennis event into a sold-out phenomenon, and the financial impact is leaving the tennis establishment stunned. The excitement began months before the tournament even started, not days or weeks, but months in advance. By August 2026, the National Bank Open in Toronto was already projected to be one of the biggest tennis events of the year. According to Tennis Canada, the tournament was expected to attract more than 200,000 spectators across its 2-week run, while generating nearly $60 million in economic impact for Ontario and Canada. But then something happened that no spreadsheet could have predicted. When Alex Eala announced that she would be competing in Toronto, ticket demand surged to another level entirely. The numbers were staggering. According to tournament director Carl Hale, Eala's opening match alone sold out center court at Sobeys Stadium, with all 10,774 seats reportedly snapped up in just 30 minutes. Let that sink in. The arrival of a 21-year-old Filipino star turned one match into one of the most highly anticipated events of the entire tournament. Not a day, not a few hours, just 30 minutes. The speed of the sellout was almost unbelievable. Tournament director Carl Hale told CBC in early August 2026 that they had never seen a player ranked outside the top 5 create this kind of impact. Sobeys Stadium's grandstand court holds around 2,800 fans, but organizers knew they couldn't put Alex Eala there because demand was far beyond the venue's capacity. According to Hale, Eala's match likely generated more than 5,000 ticket requests on its own, and this was before the tournament had even officially begun. The excitement was being driven heavily by the Filipino community across southeastern Canada, with fans contacting tournament offices for months in anticipation of seeing Eala compete. Hale even recalled the family connection surrounding the young star, saying, "My mother knows her uncle, sister's brother, cousin," as fans eagerly waited for confirmation of Eala's match schedule. Once her start time was announced, the phone started ringing, tickets began disappearing, and within minutes the Wednesday night session was completely sold out. It instantly became one of the hottest tickets in Toronto, something Hale suggested only Serena Williams had been able to accomplish at a similar level during the previous 2 decades of the tournament. But the ticket explosion was only the beginning. The real shock came when organizers began calculating the financial impact, and suddenly the numbers became almost impossible to ignore. The National Bank Open was already a major financial powerhouse before Alex Eala ever stepped onto court in Toronto, but the unprecedented demand surrounding her matches added an entirely new dimension to the tournament's commercial value. The Ontario government had invested $500,000 to support the 2026 edition of the tournament, recognizing the enormous economic impact the National Bank Open brings to the province. According to Tennis Canada projections, the event was expected to attract more than 200,000 attendees and generate nearly $60 million in GDP contribution for Ontario and Canada. But those projections may have turned out to be conservative. Once Alex Eala announced her participation, the revenue picture changed almost overnight. Tournament director Carl Hale could barely hide his amazement when speaking to CBC, admitting that they had never seen a player ranked outside the top 5 create this kind of effect. The numbers appeared to back him up. Eala generated more than 5,000 ticket sales for her opening match alone, making the 2,800-seat grandstand court far too small to handle the demand. Think about that for a moment. More than 5,000 tickets wanted for a single match, nearly twice the capacity of the tournament's second-largest court. Organizers were therefore forced to move Eala's match to center court at Sobeys Stadium, which can accommodate roughly 12,500 spectators and stands as one of Canada's largest tennis venues. Even more astonishing, those tickets were reportedly gone within just 30 minutes. The Wednesday night session quickly became one of the hottest tickets in the tournament's history, a level of demand that Hale indicated only Serena Williams had managed to generate during the previous 2 decades. And while the ticket sales were already remarkable, the financial impact of Alex Eala's presence extended far beyond the gates and into the wider Toronto economy. with more than 250,000 people of Filipino descent living in and around the Greater Toronto area. The Alex Eala effect was being felt far beyond the tennis stadium. Hotels, restaurants, transportation companies, and local businesses all experienced a surge in demand as thousands of fans traveled from across Ontario and beyond to witness what they believed could be a historic moment. Tournament organizers even introduced Filipino dishes to the food court menu for the first time in the event's history, showing just how significant Eala's presence had become. This wasn't simply about ticket revenue anymore. The Eala effect was spreading across virtually every revenue stream connected to the tournament. International broadcast coverage was already expected to reach more than 70 million viewers worldwide, but with Eala's remarkable rise dominating headlines across major sports networks and media outlets, those projections suddenly appeared likely to be surpassed. The numbers weren't merely exceeding expectations. They were forcing organizers to rethink what was possible. And here's where the story became even more dramatic. Alex Eala wasn't just winning matches. She was helping carry the commercial momentum of an event that desperately needed a boost. By early August 2026, the Canadian Open was facing a major challenge that threatened the financial strength of the overall tournament. On the men's side in Montreal, the event suffered a huge setback when several of the sport's biggest stars, including Carlos Alcaraz, Jannik Sinner, and Novak Djokovic, opted not to participate. The prestigious ADP Masters 1000 event was suddenly missing three of its biggest names, leaving casual fans without the star power they had expected. The financial implications were potentially serious because the Canadian Open is split between two cities, with the WTA tournament taking place in Toronto and the ADP event in Montreal. Any major decline in interest on the men's side could have affected the overall commercial performance of the Canadian Open. Yet, while Montreal was struggling to replace its biggest attractions, Toronto was experiencing the exact opposite phenomenon. One young Filipino star was generating unprecedented demand, attracting fans, selling tickets, driving international attention, and creating a wave of excitement that was quickly becoming impossible for the tennis world to ignore. Tournament organizers needed a miracle, and Alex Eala arrived at exactly the right moment. Fresh off her historic WTA title in Washington, Eala entered Toronto carrying something the tournament desperately needed: a passionate fan base willing to spend money. And this wasn't just an ordinary group of supporters. It was a highly engaged community that was turning out in huge numbers specifically to watch her play. Eala wasn't simply becoming one of tennis's fastest rising stars. She was bringing crowds to tournaments in a way few other players could match. Analysts quickly noticed a difference during her first two matches in Toronto, where Eala was scheduled as the final match of the day. That scheduling decision created an enormous economic advantage because fans weren't simply arriving for a match and leaving afterward. They were coming early, staying late, purchasing food and drinks, buying merchandise, and spending more time throughout the tournament grounds. The economic ripple effect was becoming impossible to ignore. Tennis Canada had projected that the National Bank Open would attract more than 200,000 attendees and generate nearly $60 million in GDP contribution. But Eala's presence appeared to be pushing those expectations even higher. Everywhere Eala went, the crowds followed, and Toronto was no exception. CBC reported that the Filipino community was driving unprecedented ticket demand, and with the Filipino diaspora in the Greater Toronto area numbering more than 270,000 people, thousands of fans were showing up to support their star, purchasing tickets, and spending money on everything from official merchandise to food and concessions. The tournament's response became one of the clearest signs of just how powerful the Eala effect had become. Tournament director Carl Hale revealed that organizers added Filipino adobo to the food court menu during the tournament to meet the demand from Eala supporters. Whether viewed as a marketing move or a cultural celebration, it demonstrated that one player had generated enough interest to influence the tournament experience itself. Alex Eala was no longer simply participating in the Canadian Open. She had become one of its biggest commercial attractions. This wasn't just about ticket revenue anymore. The Alex Eala effect was rippling through virtually every revenue stream connected to the tournament, from food and merchandise to attendance and broadcast interest. And while Toronto was enjoying the benefits, the men's side of the Canadian Open in Montreal was watching from a distance. There was a major catch. The WTA event in Toronto was receiving the full impact of Eala's growing fan base, while the ADP event in Montreal was struggling without several of its biggest stars and wasn't benefiting from the thousands of fans traveling to see Eala. As analysts pointed out, those supporters were spending their money in Toronto, not Montreal, creating a noticeable economic divide between the two host cities. The tournament's overall financial performance would ultimately have to be evaluated as a combined event. But for the moment, Toronto was clearly winning the battle for attention. Organizers had every reason to be grateful that Eala remained in the draw because she was not only bringing people to the stadium gates, but also attracting millions of eyes to television and digital broadcasts. Analysts warned that if Eala were eliminated early, some of that audience could disappear just as quickly. But the biggest evidence of her impact was happening inside SoBe Stadium itself, where the crowds are becoming a spectacle of their own. You simply couldn't talk about ticket revenue without talking about the people buying those tickets. And what happened on Wednesday night was something the tennis world had rarely witnessed at a tournament of this stage. More than 10,000 fans packed the stadium, thousands of voices echoing through the venue, while Philippine flags waved throughout the stands. The atmosphere became electric during Eala's 3-set victory over Alicia Parks, with the roar of the crowd reportedly carrying across York University's sprawling campus on the northern edge of Toronto. Diane Castillo, a traveling Filipino journalist and former tennis player who has covered the sport for decades, described the atmosphere as a super wild Filipino crowd, adding that it was the loudest she had ever heard. In that moment, it became clear that Alex Eala wasn't simply playing in Toronto. She was creating an atmosphere that had become one of the defining stories of the entire Canadian Open. It felt like we were in the Philippines. Incredible. That was a feeling inside SoBe Stadium as thousands of Filipino supporters gathered to cheer for Alex Eala. And the story becomes even more fascinating when you realize these weren't simply casual tennis fans who decided to attend a match. Many have been waiting for months for this moment, eager to support a player they increasingly viewed as a symbol of Filipino pride. Danilo Bello, the executive director of Toronto's Taste of Manila event, explained the connection by comparing Eala to Manny Pacquiao, one of the greatest Filipino athletes of all time and a global sporting icon. According to Bello, Eala is young, charismatic, and attracting enormous attention from the community, creating a powerful bond with fans who are ready to follow and support her wherever she plays. Every time she wins, more supporters want to be there for the next match. Abby Albino, co-founder of the Rise Tribe fan group, said the atmosphere inside SoBe Stadium genuinely felt like being back in Manila, describing Eala as an iconic representation of the Filipino community. Rosemary Amy Seaborn, who works with Bello on the Taste of Manila event, explained why that connection runs so deeply. She pointed out that Eala consistently embraces her Filipino identity at every major event and isn't afraid to remind people how proud she is of where she comes from. That pride was on full display inside the stadium, at least a dozen large. Philippine flags were draped across railings, boxes, and sections of the upper deck, while fans filled the stands wearing custom shirts featuring Eala inside a circle alongside the words Rise, Believe, Inspire. Others held signs carrying messages such as Fight, Believe, Represent, turning the stadium into something much bigger than a tennis venue. For those fans, Eala wasn't simply competing for another victory. She was representing an entire community, and every point she won felt like a shared celebration. But here's what truly changed the tournament. These crowds weren't just passionate, they were record-breaking. The scenes inside center court on Wednesday night, according to longtime Canadian tennis observers, rivaled some of the most electric moments in recent tournament history, including Victoria Mboko's title run in Montreal, Bianca Andreescu's championship victory in Toronto in 2019, and Denis Shapovalov's stunning upset over Rafael Nadal in 2017. But there was one major difference. Those historic moments involved Canadian players. This time, the energy came from something different. Pure representation, national pride, and the powerful support of Filipino fans rallying behind Alex Eala. Play-by-play commentator Mark Pecci captured the atmosphere perfectly on the WTA Tour's worldwide television feed after Eala's victory, describing the noise as a kind of roar normally associated with a Grand Slam final. Even though this was only the second round in Toronto, he praised Eala as a truly extraordinary player who was creating moments that seem almost out of this world. The crowds weren't simply exceeding expectations. They were rewriting the entire playbook for what a tennis audience could look like and how powerful a player's cultural connection could become. Tournament director Carl Hale watched the spectacle unfold with a smile that seemed impossible to hide, fully aware